Welcome, everybody, to the Relentless podcast, where I find guests who are willing to commit to some type of 40-day health challenge. Now, it could be anything. It could be nutrition-related, exercise, cold plunge, hot sauna, or it could be giving up a vice like cigarettes or social media or naughty websites. Here's what happens. So the guest comes on before the challenge to talk about what to expect, and then they come back on after the challenge to talk about their experience, and we can learn from them. So if you're new here, throw us on in the background, hang out, and maybe, just maybe, I can earn my way into your regular podcast rotation. When I had you on last time, one of my recommendations was this product. It was like a vitamin supplement that I had never gotten sick on. And I'm here to say that I've broken my streak. I did get relatively sick. It was pretty mild, but there was a case of something that went around my house, and I fought it till the bitter end, and then it finally seeped its claws into me, and I felt like shit for like a week. But it was like, I don't know, it felt like it never totally sank in. So yeah. I still stand by the fact, like, vitamin up.
Oh, definitely.
Take care of your immune system. But I have to backtrack on the fact that, backtrack on the fact that I never got sick. So I've officially gotten sick by taking that. So if you took it thinking that you were never going to get sick, you probably still will, but just maybe not as bad.
Definitely. My thing big time for me around, especially like around this time when you got a lot of weather changing, ups and downs in the weather. Airbornes, if I'm going out in public, drink one of those bad boys, and I wash my hands a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Washing your hands is probably key. We were like eating at the DIA yesterday. We were like eating, like they have like a little like a food court area, but it's like there's like a salad bar and like some soups, and I'm like getting all my food, and I'm like, man, we're just like all this like norovirus and all these going around, and I'm eating a salad bar right now. This might not be a great decision.
Yeah, man. When let me turn. Yes, the salad, the whole buffet I thought was gonna be totally gone when COVID was first kicking off. I'm like, well, it was fun while it lasted, yeah. But they're back, and people are coughing all over our food again, and it's good to be back.
Remember the old country buffet?
Yes, I feel like old country buffets got taken over by Golden Corral.
Yeah, they did for sure.
Is that the same company?
No, I don't know if it's the same company, but I think you're right on the fact that like the Golden Corral was the next iteration of the buffet style.
Yeah. Have you ever eaten at one?
I don't think I have actually.
Me neither.
I applied for a job once there when I was a teenager, but I didn't get it.
Oh man, one time I went to eat at one. I was with Rob Antich. Rob Antich. And it was back like we were teenagers. I didn't know the policy on tipping, but he insisted that like 16 cents was a good tip at a buffet. And I was just like, all right, well, 16 cents. And then like years later, I was like, oh shit, we totally stiffed that lady.
Yeah, probably.
Probably like the worst part of her entire day. Just, Rob, he said it confidently, so I believe him.
Good old Rob.
I know.
You still talk to Rob?
I talked to Rob quite a bit. He just had baby number 2 recently,
nice.
So he's busy with that. So I haven't.
Tell him I said hi.
I will.
That'd be awesome.
Of course. Yeah, he's doing good though. He's still in Germany. Don't know when he's ever going to come back. Rob, if you're out there,
right.
Move back to the U.S. of A, America. Anyways, you want to dive into the last 40 days of your life?
Let's do it, dude.
Sweet. So you gave up
Twitter
for 40 days, and you're back.
I'm back. Well, sort of.
Well, you're back to life.
Yeah,
like you're back on the podcast.
Yep.
You survived. What was the biggest challenge of giving up Twitter, would you say?
Honestly, I didn't find it as challenging as I thought I would. It takes some getting used to. Like, you definitely like will go like to type it in or something like that, but like once the apps are removed from my phone, I didn't find it as challenging as I thought it was going to be. And honestly, I thought the payoff was crazy. Like the amount of more things I got done from not having it was crazy.
Nice. Let's talk about those.
So like, I got 2 paintings done. I got several videos edited and posted, like stuff I probably would have been dragging my feet on and not have accomplished if I was still on those apps, wasting a lot of my time.
Yeah. When I was scrolling social media all the time, it made me like okay with being bored because there was some sort of I was still getting the
Totally.
dopamine hits. I was still, but I never felt better after like leaving the app,
Mm-hmm.
no matter which one. But so you brought up your channel. I will link your stuff in the
Cool.
description of this video because yeah, I really enjoyed the painting that you did for the Kendrick Lamar album. Super cool. And if you're into music, Neil is a encyclopedia of all things music, and he shares his thoughts on new stuff, old stuff. Like you just did the Pink Floyd, the Pink Floyd Part 2
history on Pink Floyd Part 2. Yep.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Uh-huh.
So you accomplished a lot more.
Definitely.
That's cool. Did you notice any changes in like mood, relationships, kind of stress levels
I think
at all?
it definitely will better your relationships with people, because I know like my girlfriend is anti-internet. Like she does not use it at all. Like like they'll be like like the other day I had to like literally tell her that the wildfires in California were going on. She's like, what? I didn't even hear about it, because she's not on her phone ever.
Yeah.
And so I'm jealous of her in a lot of ways in that, but it also can cause conflict because I do like being on my phone. So like it'll make me feel guilty, and I guess I had to feel less guilty because I wasn't on it, and I'm actually like utilizing my time with her instead.
Yeah, like you're like without it, like you're more present. Yeah, that's so funny you bring up your girlfriend, because my wife is similar to what you said about your girlfriend, and that she's really not big on the phone, on social media. But where it starts to frustrate me is we'll be like out and about, and she'll want to like hear a song or play a song, and she'll be like, "Give me your phone," and just like, you get your own phone. Like she'll like, to me that concept is so foreign. Like leaving your phone at home to go somewhere, she'll just leave her phone at home.
That's crazy. I never do that.
I know, me neither. I'm like, what if I want to hear a song when I'm out here? What if I need a podcast or something?
What if I need an Uber? What if I need or what if I need directions or somewhere? All these justifications.
I know, exactly. So me, like with the social media stuff, yes, I feel much better without going on it all the time. And I'm the type that can't really moderate. If I'm on it, I'm sucked into the shit.
Yep.
But even without it, like I feel like I am quite a bit more productive. But like my screen time only goes down a little bit because I'll still find some other shit to do
Me
that's
too.
not as like mentally destructive. Did you notice any changes in your screen time or?
I did, but at the same time, my screen time is still relatively high right now because for the most part, with everything I'm doing with YouTube, my computers are so old and crappy that I've been doing all the editing and filming and all that stuff on my phone. So my screen time still stays pretty high because of that. And I did notice I was clicking on YouTube way more than I was when I had Twitter. But but one thing that happened like halfway through it is I was like, you know what? I don't want Instagram on here either. And so I did the second half of the challenge without Instagram too. And I really haven't gone back to it. I've popped in on Twitter since, but Instagram, I'm using it now. I literally will download the app. I will post whatever I need to post. And then I will just delete it right off my phone because I'm like, that's the easiest way for me to not check it. If the app is not on my phone, like Twitter, you can still go on your browser and it's pretty easy to navigate. Instagram, you kind of have to have the app for it to be useful. So deleting that off my thing, I'm like, this is nice. And I don't think I'm going to use Instagram much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really not that great. I just don't find it that useful.
Yeah. It had been years between times of doing not Instagram, but Facebook. And Facebook just became a wasteland. Like I remember actually enjoying Facebook years and years ago where say, oh, Aunt Susan bought a new dog. It looks cute, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then I got off it totally. And then I went back on like years and years later. And it was like, let's see what Aunt Susan's up to. Ad. One post from someone I know, ad, just like, oh my God, are people still using this?
That's how Instagram has become.
Really?
It's ad city. I mean, there's so much advertisement on, and even like people's like it barely shows me people I follow, but it'll show me like celebrities that are endorsing products and shit like that. And it's like, this just seems like it's all to fill more empty consumerism. Like,
yeah.
I'm just like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a shame. I was always kind of take or leave Instagram. I don't know what it was about that, but I know Instagram for some are very popular. Like I did a poll on the channel not too long ago. I think it was after our first episode. Just what app do you use most, or what app do you would you benefit most from deleting? And Instagram, I think, was the highest. So I was kind of surprised to see that. But yeah, any. So you said you didn't really have any like fear of missing out, like FOMO with Twitter?
Somewhat. Like I get it with Twitter sometimes. Like if new music drops, I have this like nerdy thing in me that I want to like go see what the conversation about it is. Like I want to see like what people are talking about when the Joey Badass freestyle comes out or this or that. And so like I get it a little bit, but I listen to like Hot 97's morning show every day. I listen to several podcasts. So like if something really important happens, I'm going to find out about it one way or another anyways.
Yeah.
So like it's just kind of getting over that. I think it's really an ego thing. Like I need to assert myself in the conversation. Like, and I really don't all that much at certain points. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword kind of thing for me with these social media platforms. I feel like there's really no winning in it.
Yeah.
Even when I'm enjoying it.
For sure. And with the Twitter one, I don't know. So from an individual perspective, I had to like totally get off it because it just wasn't making me any happier. It was making me sadder. But I do think, and we may not be totally aligned in our view on this, because I know you're not a huge Musk fan.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I love the guy, but I think that when he took over, the actual platform I felt became less enjoyable for me. But I do think there was an aspect of a lot of the other ones, like suppressing information and only showing you what they wanted to show you. And I think a lot of accounts with like Google and the Zuckerberg stuff, I think ultimately globally was a good thing. But I think individually, I just needed to scram off it.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know. Elon Musk doesn't make too much of a difference to me, like as far as Twitter. I mean, it has become like the wild, wild west now on Twitter. It literally is ridiculous. Like you see some of the stupidest takes on planet Earth on that app. And it's just like, and sometimes you also have to catch yourself because like you'll get yourself fired up about something that you read thinking that it like has some meaningful like push or power behind it. And you're like, this is just one person's opinion that's probably like has no, like doesn't have any real informed knowledge on what he's even talking about. So, and it could be like a 13-year-old for Christ's sake. You don't even really know who you're arguing with. So it's like,
dude, I recently dropped a video. It was the one where it's the Rap God video, and some kid posted. He goes, I could do this, and I'm 12, and I'm like, don't reply. But I replied, and I go, are you even allowed to use YouTube by yourself? So I was just like, oh God, now I'm in it with a 12-year-old.
To me, I had like my first not opposing, but just like he said some things about, or in a comment on my video that I didn't agree with his perspective on. And I was going to type it out. And as I was like starting to type, I'm like, this is going to be a long response. And then I was like, you know what? If I'm still thinking about this next week, I'll address it in the next video I make on this kind of thing. And if I'm not thinking about it next week, who cares?
Yeah.
Like this person, like who cares?
Right. That's a good take on it. Give it a little bit to simmer, and then not react like I did with.
I'm not saying that I'm like a better person than you because I've done that for sure. That's why I got off Facebook in the first place, because like every time election seasons come around, it's like. It's just like a bitch fest. It's just nonstop complainings on both sides of the aisle, and it's like so overwhelming. And it's like, I don't need this in my life.
You got Corey Bugeja hopping into every comment in the world.
Me and Corey got in so many arguments around that time.
I know that was just one example of like, you're just trying to stir shit up. Like I like look at the comment, just like you didn't need that. Mm-hmm. You're always throwing in your shit, whatever. I didn't come here to talk shit about people. Speaking of, so this is kind of a segue. So the Twitter thing, like I said, I feel like individually, no good for me. Globally, good, probably freedom of speech, whatever. The Buy Now documentary.
Man.
I felt the opposite of Twitter as I do about that. I think like individually, I'm like with the overconsumption and stuff like that, like I try to be kind of minimalist and not partake, but I do think like from the global impact, like the stuff they showed and just, we could get into that because that was a good documentary.
It's like that documentary blew my mind because it was all stuff that like deep down we know. But like when it was displayed in that fashion and presented in the way that they presented it, I was like, this is mind blowing. When they like started to give you totals on numbers of like clothes that's being thrown away and electronics that's being thrown away, and you're just like, holy crap, that is insane.
Yeah.
Like, it really just kind of dropped my jaw. Dropped my draws.
Drop my drawers. That's what Will Smith always called his underwear in Fresh Prince. Yeah, he called them
always my draws.
Does anybody still call them draws? Call in if you call them draws still.
Still calling your underwear your draws?
Yeah. But the one thing that fucked me up about that documentary, well, two things. One thing was a lot of these companies that are kind of like high fashion brands, like when they have a product to throw away, they slash them all up,
dude,
rather than selling them at a discount because they think if once less rich people get their hands on it, it'll devalue their product.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, that's a little fucked up.
And the fast fashion stuff, and it's like you realize that like all of these things are being made out of just like garbage material that are like built to disintegrate, or like how like that one guy I found really interesting who owned like the tech fix-up company that like was talking about how Apple has made it like almost impossible to even get to the battery to try to replace it. And they make it so it's like housed in there so well that you can't even like get it.
Yeah.
And how they kind of design their products to fail like after a few years. And it's so crazy because you like think about like products from our parents' times, like think about the TVs with the old backs on them. Those bitches lasted forever.
I know, the
man.
Zenith.
They lasted so long.
Yeah.
And now TVs are like, they're just the same kind of thing. It's just like we're making things, less durable, less like, I don't know. It's just bad products.
Yeah.
All over the place. Yeah.
The other thing that fucked me up. So I've heard a lot and I've read a lot about microplastics, like just the shit that gets into our water and our food. And being kind of a health psycho, this is the part that really spoke to me because I'm just like, okay, so we have all these microplastics in a lot of our food and like fish, whatever. And it's like, okay, but what is a microplastic? And I thought it did a really good job of explaining what a microplastic is. It's like, okay, I can presume that it's tiny pieces of plastic. Well, yes, but those tiny, like microscopic pieces of plastic are super sharp and they get into your body and they produce like millions of like little tiny slits, like cuts all up in your body. And then from that comes like inflammation, and then inflammation comes disease. Like your body literally is at dis-ease from all this shit in her body. And that's the part that I was just like, man, let's slow down. Like we were joking about like, let's press pause on producing new technology for like 1 year. Let's push pause. Like I got enough clothes, but anyone who doesn't, let's all ship it. Let's give you some new clothes.
Dude, my girlfriend and I were watching that documentary in bed, and like I looked over at my closet and I'm like, I think I have about 45 hoodies in there. Like I don't wear 90% of them anymore. Like I should probably stop doing this. And my dad, like, it was funny because my dad watched it too, and he was kind of talking about how he used to justify buying new clothes by, if I buy one thing, I'll donate one thing. But then now, like watching this, he's realizing that's not really a great solution either, because our stuff just doesn't go away. You know, we think it all goes away, but excited. Where is this magic away that they talk about in that documentary?
Yeah,
and you're like, that is the point, or I guess the purpose there. That when it showed that like beach area in Africa where all the overages of clothes are getting shipped to, that was crazy.
Yeah,
like, it looked CGI. There was so much clothes on that beach.
I know. That's where I was curious. That's where like I could be a little bit of a skeptic whore, but
I can too.
I was looking at that. I'm like, is it like that all of the time?
That's what I was curious too.
Or was there just like a shipping container that fell out and then that happened and you cleaned it up within weeks or months? But either way, it just seems like it's like Idiocracy. Do you ever see that movie?
It's seriously just like that. The giant trash heap where like
what was it? The so-and-so happened until the national garbage avalanche happened in 2324, and it just shows like this.
Ouch, my balls.
Yeah, my balls.
That movie's so great. I love Mike Judge.
Yeah, dude, there's one scene for that movie where, and I don't usually use this word, but for the sake of quoting the movie, I'll use it. Maybe I'll bleep it later. But he's in court, and Dax Shepard is his attorney, and the other attorney is just like talking all this shit about him. And then Dax Shepard, who's his attorney, supposed to be backing him up, goes, yeah, and he talks like a fag too.
What is that dude's name?
Luke Wilson?
No, not Luke Wilson. The dude that plays the doctor in
Justin Long.
Justin Long. His part is hilarious in that too.
Yeah, you're just you're acting like a little bitch, and you just kind of, you know what I do? I just like, like that's his diagnosis and his solution. Just like, like, I got a sister who's tarded. She's a pilot now.
Yeah, that's what they keep calling it,
Tarded.
Oh man, yeah, that's a great movie. Extract is another underrated Mike Judge movie. You ever seen Extract?
I've seen
Jason Bateman.
I did see it for sure. Ben Affleck's in it.
Yeah, Ben
I
Affleck's
saw it, but I haven't revisited it.
That's a really funny movie. Yeah. It's got some really funny, like underrated little small parts in it.
Yeah,
like, just like TJ Miller's got he's like a hardcore rock band called God's Cock. Like that makes me laugh, man. I don't know why.
Yeah, TJ Miller's hilarious.
Yeah,
I like Silicon Valley.
Dude, he was. Didn't he get kicked off the show at a certain point or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was something with he was harassing one of the on set. I don't know if it was a PA or grip or something, but I think
there was some weird stuff that like around that time that was going on with him, like personally or something. Like I think he got like, God, I want to say it wasn't like a sexual thing, but I think he like got caught, like he was like found in like a weird place or something like that at one point. I think he just went through some mental stuff or something like that.
Yeah. I think one other thing, he probably was found in a weird place. Now I'm curious. I wish I had my phone on.
I swear I remember hearing that.
I got to get a young Jamie in here to look up shit
yeah,
for us, which I do. My buddy Matt, one of these times he's going to come hang out right here and just be the, look up guy. But anyways, I think he had an incident on an airplane too.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking about.
He just maybe was off his meds. I think he's got some mental health issues, but he's kind of back now. He's not, in the spotlight as much, but I think he's still doing stand-up and touring a little bit.
Yeah, I think so, because I've definitely seen him like pop on some of like the comedy podcasts. I've seen him on Bobby Lee's podcast a couple times and stuff, and he's always been hilarious to me. I think the first thing we ever saw him in was Cloverfield, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was like the dude behind the camera, like the funny comic relief behind the camera.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Wow, good call out. Yeah, Cloverfield. That movie's pretty good.
I loved Cloverfield. Actually, to be honest, they've made a few different sequels, and I think they've all been great. Like the most recent one that had John Goodman as the bad guy was awesome.
Yeah.
That was great.
It's like Way Below Ground or something. Yeah.
Because you're like, because not only are they playing on, is there really monsters outside, but then also, is this a bad guy or a good guy? And you're like, I don't know. And John Goodman does such a good job.
Yes.
You're like, dude, John Goodman, got to be one of the greatest actors of all time.
John Goodman rules.
I love him.
Big Lebowski is up here on the wall.
Big Lebowski.
He's watching over us right now.
He was on that Treme show I was telling you about before the podcast, too, with Steve Zahn. He was another main character.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great show.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, so I got a rec, but I don't know how much you're a fan of this fellow. Last time you were here, we were talking about people who are good podcasters, not great comics.
Okay.
This guy, I think, I never thought I'd say this, fucking becoming a great comic, in my opinion. Not so likable on podcasts. Ari Shaffir's new special.
I like Ari Shaffir.
Okay. Because he was part of like the Rogan 4 with Bert and Tom, and I always thought he was like the least funny one. And now he's part of the Protect Our Parks. I always kind of thought he was the least, but like he dropped that special called Jew on
that was great.
YouTube.
I watched that one.
That was like brilliant.
Yeah, and even like the setting with the candles and everything.
Yeah,
awesome. No one's been doing that.
Yeah, he takes you on a journey through the Jewish religion, but makes it funny, but super informative. I feel like I learned so much. But this new one, America's Sweetheart.
I haven't watched it yet, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I watched it last night. So I won't spoil anything, obviously. But it's all pretty much him looking at the good side of things. So like he takes some dark stuff and says, well, what about this?
Yeah.
And I won't ruin any bits. I won't be able to tell jokes like him, but like I left the special like, am I an Ari Shaffir fan? Did I find him funny? It's like, yeah, he's a good comic. So.
That was actually a great point that you made, because he is that. Like, he can be kind of like cynical and present as an asshole on podcasts, and I feel like that's how he comes across. He got the whole drama of him drugging Bert Kreischer. That was a big thing for a while, and then I think what really like made a lot of people think that he was an unfunny a-hole was he had a really dry bit on Twitter for a long time, where like when a celebrity would die, he would kind of roast them post death, and they were never really that funny. So I never really understood why he thought that was a good idea. And that Kobe Bryant one killed him. Yeah, that really killed him in the public limelight for a while.
The Kobe one was rough.
Yeah,
because it's like, and you like a swing and a miss. Sure, if you want to play this heel character, get people to hate you, cool. But yeah, it seemed like there was some actual hate underneath.
Yeah,
and it was. I don't think a lot of people. It translated with like anybody.
No,
everyone was like, yeah, get away.
Even his comic buddies, like, because I used to watch. I don't really watch Tom and Bert and Joe and all those guys all that much anymore. There's just so many podcasts to listen to. But even them, like, were like, we didn't really understand what he was doing there. Like we kind of like we would check in on him, make sure he was okay after that, but we kind of thought it was a miss too.
Yeah, for sure. He total swing and a miss, and I think it was a good year before anybody ever saw or heard from him again, at least in the podcast scene.
Yeah.
And I think what he did is he just went off the map, like turned his phone off. And that's an interesting thing about him too. He'll go just unannounced to Asia, small town, where nobody knows him, and just have a good time for a month. Like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that about him too. He is an interesting person for sure. Like, he's done a lot of weird shit. And I think he actually has quite a few stand-up specials because I've gone back to watch some of his older stuff too, and I agree with you. The one he did, Jew, was great with the candles behind him, looked amazing, and even the setup on the new one, I watched the little preview because Jen and I were going to watch it either later today or some point this weekend. But like how he's got all the plants and stuff behind him, I'm like, not enough comics value the stage setup. I'm like, I like this. I really like it. It's nice to watch. But I'm excited to see that one.
It's funny. I think I heard somewhere, maybe he just did Shane's pot, whatever. He said he dropped like $85,000 on that background alone. Yeah.
That's crazy. And he's an independent kind of comic, right? Doesn't have any like push from any like sponsors or anything that would pay for that, would they?
No, he was part of Comedy Central for a little while.
Okay.
He had that This
right.
Is Not Happening show, but then I think something
something went awry. Someone else took over it, hosting it, didn't they?
Oh, really?
Because I think it lasted without him for a little bit.
Okay.
Have you ever seen Tom Segura's episode of that where he talks about doing the GHB and ending up in the hospital?
Was Joey Diaz involved?
No.
Okay.
Well, I don't think so. But it's from
Diaz.
Tom's his younger years. He was talking about a story that happened when he was in college, I think. Mm-hmm. But he talks about how he used to do GHB regularly. Like that was like his party drug that he liked to do. And he was supposed to just do like a cap full and accidentally did like a swig out of a water bottle full. Oof. And woke up in the hospital. Yikes. It's the craziest story. Like when he breaks down all the things that went into his system that day, you're like, wow, how are you alive telling this story?
Dude, he's wild, man. He's like, I don't really tune into him and Bert really anymore, but like he had his moment where I'm sure he's still funny because you don't just like lose funny, but like, yeah, I
think Tom's book was hilarious. He put out like an autobiography a year or two ago, and I have an Audible account, the audiobooks or whatever, right. And a new trend on a lot of these, especially with autobiographies, is the person that wrote it reading it themselves. So he reads it himself. So it just makes it extra hilarious to hear. Like I found the same way with Seth Rogen's book. Like hearing them actually do it was pretty funny. And Seth Rogen's was even funnier because like he would say he'd be telling a story about Snoop Dogg. He actually got Snoop Dogg to like read a couple lines in the audiobook and stuff. So it was pretty funny.
Nice. Yeah. Last time you were on here, you were telling me that they've added like production value to it.
They definitely have.
With some stories like novels, they'll have like maybe background music or different people reading different things. That's pretty cool.
It is cool. I mean, it's an Amazon product too. So, they're making hand over fist money. So I'm glad that they're adding, because sometimes in the beginning when I first got Audible, it'd be like a you'd be hearing a book from like read by like a 90-year-old British man, and you're like, dude, I'm gonna fall asleep within 13 seconds of this.
Yeah, it's like, is this story designed to sleep? Because it's doing a great job. I just read a good book by a comic, Sam Talent. Are you familiar with this fella?
No, wait, maybe.
He's he's popped up every now and then, and I'm a fan. I think he's local to Michigan, but his book called Running the Light. It's a fictional tale about a comic that's kind of like a Sam Kinison, just like balls to the wall, coke every night, booze every night, just crazy party. And it's just a story that takes place in the span of a week of a stand-up comic, and it's gut-wrenching, it's heart-wrenching, it's very well written. You can tell this dude is smart. It's one of those books where I got the book in one hand, ChatGPT in the other hand, looking up the words every couple pages because he's using some like language that
That sounds great though. That's like a cool concept, and you just had me thinking of like while you were telling me about that, about like the glory days of like Sam Kinison. Like think about how crazy like a backstage conversation between Sam Kinison and Robin Williams in their coke days must have been.
I'd be like, get me the fuck out of here. 30 seconds in, you're like, this is funny, but can either one of these guys shut up? Yes.
Just a gajillion impressions.
A gajillion impressions a minute. Oh, yes. I don't want to peek the mics, but
I was watching an old the other day, like on YouTube, like their algorithms move so fast. So like I watched like one Bill Hader interview, and then I had like 20 of them. And I was watching an old one of him and Conan O'Brien talking, and it was like Conan was making him do so many impressions. I was like, Jesus, Conan, what is going on? He had like 5 or 6 impressions in like a 10-minute video segment. I'm like, oh my Lord. But it was kind of funny though, because he was talking about how when he did like a couple episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm, how like he would crack up Larry David all day just by doing old-timey impressions of like celebrities from Larry David's childhood and stuff that like only he would understand because they were so old-timey.
Yeah, his impressions are so obscure too.
They really are.
You're like, wait, I think I know who that is, but I have no idea.
Even the ones like about that he mentions, that'll be like, you're like, I don't really remember what that person sounded like.
Yeah.
like this is Bob Newhart or something like that, and I'll be like, oh. Well.
Yeah, I know the name, but
Definitely know the name. I don't remember what he sounded like though.
And he'll do one of them like true crime, like it was Thursday. And it's just like, damn, you sound exactly like that person that I don't know who you're doing. He
did a shockingly funny one of Seth Rogen though. Him and Conan got to talking about Superbad and like how it took him like a long time to pick out what glasses he wanted to wear in Superbad. And like he started doing, I guess like Seth Rogen was like, just fucking pick them out. And he did an impression of Seth, and I was like, whoa, that sounded spot on.
I think I've seen that. He goes, I don't give a shit, or something like that. Who cares? Speaking of entertainment, smooth transition.
Mm-hmm.
We had been chatting a little bit before this. We're both hip hop fans, but sometimes in hip hop, even the greatest of rappers have really bad lyrics.
Yeah.
And there's a few that came across my head that I just thought were like funny. Like, I don't know if they're actually bad or if they're just like, I don't like them. So one of them being, I was listening to, you remember Young Jock?
Yeah, I sure do.
Well, that song, It's Going Down.
Yep.
Well, he was kind of like a one-hit wonder. Maybe like he had 2 songs that kind of hit radio, but in that song, It's Going Down, he starts his second verse by saying, verse number 2. I'm just like, what an uncreative way to start your second verse.
It was almost like he was just doing the reference track in the studio and like trying to like come up with something. So he was just like mumbling off some stuff and like verse number 2. And
the guy in the back,
I just leave it.
What was that? I said verse number 2. Keep it.
I love. Have you ever seen those like? Well, you're not on social media anymore, but they've been around forever. Like people that'll make the accounts where it'll be like the rappers rapping the lyrics, and it'll be the producer behind the boards listening to it, and be like, "Wait, what the fuck did he just say?"
No, I don't think I've seen those.
Those are pretty good. There's been some funny ones over the time. Like, wait, what? Like they do a lot of them for Eminem because of like his old lyrics and stuff. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Or like like even like a lot of people will bring up like Biggie. Biggie has like some questionable lines from Ready to Die, like F him in the A and throw him over the bridge. Like at one point, they're like, wait, what?
Just like sounded cool. He's so confident when he raps. It's just like whatever. That question. He probably means something else.
Yeah, he probably means something. Probably just talking about something else. I don't know, something I don't understand.
Right. Eminem's got one that he's got a lot of really questionable lyrics, but this one always stood out to me as just like, come on. It's from Not Afraid, where he's like, I solemnly swear to focus on my responsibilities as a father, and then he goes, and I'm gonna treat this roof like my daughter's and raise it. It's just like
that one is
raise
bad.
It.
I
raise
honestly,
the roof.
As I know you probably maybe as like someone that's quit drinking, maybe found some value in the messaging of that song, but I cannot for the life of me understand why he still performs it as like a lead, like show-stopping part of his live show. If he never performed that song again, I'd be happy. Like when they did the Michigan, when they reopened the train station in Detroit,
did he had
like there was like 3 songs to do, and he put that in there. I'm like, bro, that is like one of my least favorite Eminem songs.
Yeah, interesting. I got a little bit out of it, but it never pumped me up for sobriety. Like I feel like the way it should have or could have. But who am I to talk? I think it's one of his more popular. So like it's got 1 billion+ views. I think he's got a few songs, but yeah, I was never a huge fan. But
yeah,
raise it.
Raise it. I've got another one that drives me crazy. So there's like, from like the 2010 on, the only rapping we get out of Andre 3000 is an occasional feature, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a Beyonce. So I'm not a huge Beyonce person, but there's some of her songs are pretty good, and she has this song called "Life of the Party" that features, or no, not "Life of the Party." I think it's just called "Party," but it features Andre 3000. It's got an awesome rap verse out of Andre 3000, but it also has Kanye West on the hook.
Oof.
And Kanye West's hook on it is I don't know if it's the hook, but several times throughout the song he says, "You a bad girl and your friend's bad too. You got the swag sauce dripping swagoo."
Oh.
And I'm like, that is so bad. Like that is so terrible. Like that is just such a pathetic rap line.
It's like you're at an Italian restaurant. Like, I'll take the beef swagoo with a side of mostaccioli.
And then like even the reference doesn't make sense because if she's dripping some kind of swaggy sauce, you're gonna name off the bottom barrel sauce ragu that nobody likes.
That's really bad. That's really bad. Yeah, he's got another one, a Katy Perry song, E.T., where he's like, I got something out in Mars where they ride spaceships instead of cars. Like,
he's got a bunch, actually. What was the video he did where he's like on the back of a motorcycle with Kim Kardashian and Franco and Rogan ended up like...
yeah, Bound 2.
Bound 2, yeah. He has something like, I fuck you hard on the sink. After that, I'll get you something to drink.
Oh.
And you're like, wait, what? That's so dumb.
No, just zero thought. Just whatever.
I could do these with Kanye stuff or like Kanye related things all day.
Yeah.
His Jay-Z's verse on Monster.
Oh, it's so
is one
bad.
of the worst of all time.
It's really bad.
He just names a bunch of monsters.
I know. Goons, goblins, prophets. What do these things have in common? They're all monsters.
I feel like he says something like there's a couple in there that are even questionable and they're not even like monsters. I think there's like
spirits.
And especially because Nicki Minaj smokes that song, so it makes his verse out even worse.
Yeah. Yeah, he fumbled the ball there. But I don't know, maybe he was like purposefully doing bad so he would make the up and coming Nicki Minaj sound better.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, who knows? I met Jay-Z and Beyonce one time.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so when I lived in LA, I worked at a restaurant called Republique, and it was like very swanky French kind of brand new. I was part of the opening crew, and yeah, Will Ferrell was an investor, and it was like I met a lot of these people, and at first it's cool, but after a while it's just like whatever. But Jay-Z and Beyonce came in together, And it was during a time where there were rumors that they were like splitting up. I think it
yeah.
was right around her Lemonade
Yeah,
album.
yeah.
So like 2014, 2015. And this was actually a memorable story because they had this like little kind of private booth upstairs and they ordered some oysters. And I was expo/runner at this restaurant. I wasn't a server, but I delivered their oysters and I set them down and Beyonce goes, do you got any, I go, is there anything else I can get for you? And she was like, yeah, you got any spicy sauce? Like she just asked for spicy sauce, but in my head, she like swayed her hips while she said it. Do you got any spicy sauce? And I said, yeah, we have Tabasco. Is that okay, Beyonce? She goes, yeah, that's fine. I don't think I actually called her Beyonce either. It just makes the story funnier. So I go downstairs and I fill up a ramekin full of Tabasco sauce, only I filled it up like a little too high.
Yeah.
So it was like one little tilt one way or the other. It's dripping. So I come upstairs and I go to like set the Tabasco sauce down on the table and a little tiny bit drips over the edge of the ramekin onto my finger and drops directly into their hamachi crudo dish that was sitting on the table. And I set it down and I looked at them and they didn't notice that there was a drop of my DNA in their fucking food. So then it took me a little bit to think about it, but I'm just like, I just got some of my DNA up inside Jay-Z and Beyonce. And so like whenever, I mean, I haven't had to do one in like 10 years, but if I ever have to do like a 2 truths and a lie, I'm always like, one of my truths is my DNA got up inside Jay-Z and Beyonce. And people are like, what? What are you talking about? And they always think that's a lie. I'm like, nope. Then I tell the story.
Dude, it blows my mind. Like, so like, did they have it kind of like, was it kind of known where like celebrities could come there and like eat in peace? Or
yes.
Is it like, okay. Cause I was going to say like, it blows my mind that celebrities of that stature even go out to public restaurants. Cause I'd be like, no, I'm not dealing with, I could not handle being that famous. Like I would crumble.
No,
quick.
I thought growing up, like fame would be so cool. Like I feel like a lot of kids are like, I want to be a famous pro athlete or actor. Being an adult now, no, I don't. No, thank you. I'm glad that never.
If you're like an Eminem or a Bruno Mars or like a Taylor Swift, you could not go to the gas station by yourself. You couldn't just go run to CVS real quick. Like none of that shit. Like I couldn't live like that. I'm such an outdoors person that like that would drive me nuts.
Right.
That would literally drive me crazy.
Right.
That's even like a thing I consider a lot with YouTube, and obviously it's ego to think that I'm going to be like a giant status from these YouTube videos, but like for the longest time I bucked against it with our podcast because I liked the idea of just my voice being known and not my face, and like just selling the product is what I'm talking about, not who's sitting behind the camera. And I always wanted to keep that, but then it's just like you gotta have to go with the times a little bit, and so I feel like it's a lot of work. Posting these videos is like a lot of good, healthy mental work I do because, man, it's like fighting that inner critic hard just to hit the upload button. You're like, oh God, I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
I know, and I found the most valuable thing I do, like mindset wise, is like if I got a video and it does poorly, not letting that get me down. But if I got a video and it does great, not letting that like pump me up and feel like, oh, I got this. It's just like maybe you can learn from both, but like just doing the work, you know what I mean? I think like just the process of doing the work, leaving the results up to whatever they're going to be. That's the most healthy place I can get into, but I can still, get into analytics too much, but it's a constant dance.
I think your Rap God short is going crazy right now.
Yeah, the Rap God short did all right. Yeah, it's kind of popping off, and then to keep engagement up, you got to reply to these comments. It's just like I don't want to reply, but whatever. But yeah, that one did pretty well, and then the next one is like nothing.
Dude, it's really wild. Like just trying to figure out how it works, and I know that I'm never gonna make content that I don't want to talk about just for the sake of it getting seen more. That's never going to be a thing for me. But like I have like, a lot of the people would say post shorts, that's an easy way to get your views up and get your monetization quicker. And so I have realized that I have thousands of videos from concerts on my phone, like little snippets. And so I just post like one concert snippet a night and those do way more numbers than my long form one. So it gets the number. Like, I think I've had like 13, 14,000 in the last month.
Hell yeah.
Views, and a lot of it is because of the shorts, But I've noticed a trend that if I just get a little bit more views on each one of my long form one, that's good enough for me, man. Like breaking 100 felt great to me. When 100 people saw a video of mine, I'm like, that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
That's way more than I would ever thought would actually give a shit about anything I'm saying anyways. So.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And then there's like the dance, like stuff that I don't really love doing a lot. Like the thumbnails are a perfect example. It's just like, if I could just do this shit without ever having to create a thumbnail, I totally would. But it's like, but without compromising your actual content, you got to play the game a little bit. Like, like you said, with the shorts, like I use them kind of more of like a billboard, like, hey, this is kind of what I do over here. More people will see it. And if you think whatever is funny or insightful or you learn something, like come check it out, and then do it that way, because I don't have any other socials to promote on, so it's just like laser focus on like what can I do on this YouTube to make anything happen.
Yeah, and that's funny though, because like I didn't really think there was a way to promote your stuff. Like if you were just to post on YouTube, I didn't think there was a way into the algorithm without sharing that you did so on the other social media platforms. Like, hey, I just posted this on YouTube, on your Instagram, and on your Twitter, and this and that. But you really can, because it just works all the same. You hashtag videos. I didn't even know you could reshare videos from other people on there. Like, there's a band that I love called My Morning Jacket. This band from like the early mid 2000s indie band, kind of from the South, that still makes great music. And they put out their first song in a while, just the other day. And I was like, click on it, and it said create post. I was like, wait, what? I can reshare this on my own page? Oh, that's sick. So I'm going to start doing that with some people's pages and posts that I like, because I think that helps bring like-minded people to your stuff too.
Yeah, totally.
So I like that. I also like to like focus, like I'm trying to do stuff that's not like super buzzworthy and trendy, but Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorite rappers. And so I've been making this content about him since he had his first mixtapes out. So like, obviously there is going to be a little bit of that, but I want to make sure that if I am covering something that's popular and a lot of channels are talking about, trying to find a different angle in. Like, let me try to find something that is different to talk about here than everybody else is, because a lot of it I'm like, man, I can tell these people don't like rap music. They're just doing it because it's popular right now and everybody's talking about Drake and Kendrick, so you get a lot of that. But staying true to self, that's what I'm trying to make a point of.
Yeah, for sure. Reaction channels. Some of them are good. Some of them that add extra to the actual content they're reacting to. Great. We had joked about the Knox Hill and the
No Life Shack.
Yeah, No Life Shack. They add value, and that's great. But then there's some that you come across on like a short or whatever, where it's just like they're just a tiny little box taking up maybe 10% of the screen, and the whole video is just the thing, and they're barely interacting. It's just like,
you're just stealing other people's content and getting famous off it.
Yeah, 500,000 people tuned into this guy watching a thing.
I see that a lot. Like, and now they're not even just reacting to songs. It'll be like, so the Drake lawsuit happened, and then someone like say I can't think of a channel offhand, but like someone took their time, broke down the whole thing, edited a great video, and like put all the juice up, right? And then it'll just be a reactor, like you just said, having that video play while they're like, pause. That's crazy.
Oh my
Play.
God.
It's like, wait, what?
Oh, dude, and even worse, reacting to comedy when all you're doing is saying is like, "Oh, that's a good joke. He's funny." Play.
I hate it.
But if you find a loophole around your thing and you're popular, like, keep your shit grind on, but like, I don't like you.
I did find these. I wish I could promote their channel right now, because I did find this reactor video the other day that I enjoyed, because I think it was mostly because it was like making me feel nostalgic. They were listening to this album I love called "In Rainbows" by Radiohead. It's like one of the greatest rock albums of all time.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like these 21-year-olds hearing it for the first time. They're all stoned on a couch listening to it for the first time. But I liked the way they did it, because they would talk a little bit before, then they would listen to the whole song and then they would discuss it afterwards. Like they wouldn't pause it 1,000 times throughout the song.
Yeah.
To like add little like nothing burger anecdotes. Like,
that's what I say. They're just a big nothing burger.
They really are.
Yeah. Oh man.
But that's funny. I like watching that because it's like I remember having my own mind blown at that age by like certain music. So it's like I like seeing like these kids be like, this is some of the greatest shit I've ever heard in my whole life.
Yeah.
Like, I get a little kick out of that.
Yeah. Something about people hearing things for the first time. Like,
It is.
There's a little niche there. Like if you're doing something or hearing something first time, it's like, then I think as a viewer, you kind of like subconsciously put yourself there as just like, oh, I wish I could hear this song for the first time again, or watch this stand-up special for the first time again.
Eminem is a great one for that because like when young kids are just finding their way to Eminem's music, and they'll be reacting to these songs that like have been rocking our minds forever. You're like, this is hilarious to me because they're just like so mind blown by the sheer nuttiness of the skill set that he has.
Yeah.
That you're like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I'll go back. I'll go back and watch some like kill shot reactions because I remember exactly what I was doing. He dropped Kamikaze, which I loved, but MGK came back with like Rap Devil, and I just like, you went kind of hard on it. Like, it was not a bad diss for, whatever, all things considered. And I was just waiting. I'm like, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. And then the second it came, I just listened to it be like, yeah. Wow.
So this would be a good quick entry point for this. Have you heard about the Straight from the Lab 3 leak?
I listened to most of it.
Did you listen to most of it?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't listen to any of it yet. Well, no, that's a lie. I listened to whatever that Suge Knight diss was.
Mm-hmm.
That was super insane.
Yeah, it was like kind of part Ja Rule still.
Yeah. Part Suge Knight, part Ja Rule. That got crazy. And then I heard one where he was talking about like getting molested by his stepdad or something like that.
Again?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
And I was like, this is nuts. I'm like, I don't know if this music's actually like, did his camp put it out or is it actually leaked stuff? Because man, I don't know if I would want that kind of stuff out.
Yeah, I don't know what the story was. I know that I follow a random shady news channel on YouTube or whatever. I don't know I don't remember subscribing to them, but they like posted it, and then they made a post. Then they deleted it, and they made a post that said like, we were contacted by Shady Records to take this down. So out of respect, we took it down. So I think they're trying to scrub the internet.
See, that's what I was going back and forth with because I thought that at first, and then I saw No Life Shaq post saying that he just got the okay to react to these Eminem songs.
Huh.
And I'm like, what? So I don't know. I was like confused by it a little bit.
Very interesting.
But man, when I saw that it was being titled as Straight from the Lab 3, it just brought my brain back to like the first one with like Bully on it and shit. And I'm like, that was like some of my favorite Eminem shit was off that first one.
Yeah. He's got, that was awesome. What was I going to say? I saw Straight from the Lab 3, but I feel like there's so much fake shit that comes out. I just like, oh yeah, it's probably just like leaks from the Recovery album that I've heard a million times. So I just kind of scroll past it. And then my buddy Alex Clark texted me, did you hear about this Eminem leak? I'm like, oh. So I went back and listened to, like I said, most of it. But yeah, the AI songs, I know you're very anti-AI in music. And I was thinking about that because I am too, even though like I'll play a song and be like Tupac featuring DMX AI. I'll listen to it and I'll be like, this sounds really good. Like this sounds exactly like them. It sounds like stuff they would actually say, but knowing that it's fake, it's like, I can't go all in on it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just going to be the case with all AI generated art, period.
Yeah.
Like I feel like because I know that this didn't come from a human soul, I'm never going to be able to enjoy it fully.
I think what AI will eventually be able to do really well is pop songs, like songs that are generally more simple in nature and like stick to like a pretty specific song structure, as to where I think like some of like the alien rappers and people that are so skilled at their sets and make like really left field artsy creative shit. I think those ones won't never have a problem, and those ones won't ever be able to be mimicked, because I can tell a difference. Like when Drake put out that tailor-made trying to bait Kendrick to come outside by doing the Tupac and Snoop AI, I'm like, this is clearly not a Tupac verse, and this is clearly not a Snoop Dogg verse. Like you can tell it's not their mannerisms or their style or what they would actually be talking about or anything like that. So I think with the real skilled artists, you won't be able to mimic them. But I have heard some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I do kind of. There was one guy I used to watch on Instagram every once in a while. He would take like hardcore rap songs or metal songs and turn them into yacht rock songs.
Oh.
And it'd be like really like easy listening. Like it'd be like a metal song turned into like a Hall & Oates song, or like a rap song turned into that. Or
was the channel called There I Ruined It or something like that? I ruined it for you.
I can't remember what the channel was called now. It's escaping me.
Yeah, I've come across a channel, I think on YouTube, the guy said, There I Ruined It, and they'll recreate like a Red Hot Chili Pepper song.
Yeah.
As if, and it'll be like what Red Hot Chili Pepper sounds like to people who don't listen. And it's just like, this is hilarious. Because it'll just be like, blah, 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 California, blah, 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 mother's trousers or something like that. And just be like, that's exactly.
Anthony Kiedis' lyrics are so bad. I'm a huge Peppers fan. But
I love him too.
He's just like, man, sometimes you're like, what in the hell is Kiedis talking about?
Yeah. AI and music though, one thing, like one example that I feel like it actually enhanced, I did like the use of it in Eminem's last project. I feel like with some of the voices.
The voice changing
how
stuff?
he kind of I think there was a little bit of AI or maybe just super Dre engineering. I don't know, but I thought it was cool, AI or not, how he kind of flipped back and forth from like 1999.
That was dope. That was
Yeah.
for sure. I liked how he was playing with the vocals for sure on that. And he even did like I don't know if you saw it, how he interviewed himself for the album.
Yeah, I
He was
did.
sitting there with like the old version of himself. I thought that was pretty clever too. And I'm sure they used some AI technology there.
For sure.
And even the way like some of like the face swap stuff, I guess that's technically that too. And like the company Trey Parker and Matt Stone have that like I don't know if it's like a video swap or face swap, some kind of company that does that. And Kendrick used their company for that Heart Part 5 video where he was changing to like Kobe, Will Smith, Nipsey Hussle. I thought that was super creative in the way that he did that. Because he didn't use like other people's voices. He just, for the video effect, and then like would rap like about what was happening according to their lives and stuff. I'm like, that was pretty wild.
Yeah, I think he did Kaepernick, and then Kanye. I
He
think
definitely
too.
did Kanye.
Yeah, he did Kanye.
Kanye, I think he did Jussie Smollett, the dude that got busted like faking that attack.
Yeah.
Will Smith, Kobe,
Yeah.
and OJ, Nipsey.
Did he
and OJ
do?
too.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Wow. You brought up South Park, guys. I remember texting you about this. So Matt Stone has pretty much ruined all TV for me because he said this quote on an interview, and I never thought of it like this, but having it in my mind now, every time I try to get into a new show, I'll be like, they're fucking doing the thing. So what he said was he can't get into TV shows anymore because at the beginning, they'll serve you bread and butter with a whole shit ton of butter. And then 2-3 episodes in, they'll keep slathering on that butter. But then by the end of season 1, it's pretty much all bread with a little bit of butter to keep you coming. And then the seasons go on and they keep giving you more and more bread and less butter. Yep. And my wife, dude, he's a fucking genius.
Yeah,
like,
he is.
My wife and I got super into the show Narcos.
Yep.
Did you remember that show?
Yeah, I've only seen the first. I think I saw the first and second season.
Yeah.
I don't think I went into the third one.
That's probably all I'm going to watch too, because it starts off with like Pablo Escobar and all this super crazy stuff happening. But then by the end of the first season, beginning of second season, just like, this is all just filler. Like, sure, a cool thing happens once every 3 episodes, but now you know you got me. So you like, I don't know if the writers stopped trying or if they just like, yeah, it's good enough. Let's go. And I feel like a lot of these shows are doing that to me these days. It's just like,
that was literally, I think, maybe the model of how they made The Walking Dead. Like, that was like the first couple episodes were so awesome. And you're like, whoa, this dude's waking up in a hospital to a zombie apocalypse happening around him and has to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Crazy. And then like every season for many seasons, they were just walking, like just transfer. Okay. So we found somewhere to live. Some corrupt people are coming to take it over. Now we got to leave it and find somewhere else to go. So it was just like a lot of walking.
over and over again. I stopped watching before that Glenn guy died.
Man.
But then, like, I heard they killed off Rick, but then there was a spinoff with Rick, and it's like I have no interest in
after
spilling
11 seasons, they finally ended. And after they ended, there was a Daryl Carroll spinoff, there was a Rick Michonne spinoff, and there was a there was a third one or something like that. And then they had like 2 other side shows that were like different storylines. I'm like, this is all just a cash cow thing at this point. Like,
they just, what was that, 2010 or whatever when it came out, give or take. But like zombies popped off there for a minute with like that show and like Warm Bodies, Zombieland. Like it just, and then they're still milking that fucking thing.
They are about to make a 3rd sequel to my favorite zombie movie of all time.
28
years
later. Yeah, that's dope.
And I want to say that I read that either he has a cameo or is part of it somehow that, why can I not think? Cillian Murphy, who's from the very first one, might possibly be in this one.
Sign me up.
That's what and honestly, God, it almost has been 28 years later. I think it's been 20. I think it really has been 20 since the first movie came out.
Damn.
Which is crazy to think about. That's the first thing I ever saw him in. And now he's like, got the Oppenheimer and Peaky Blinders blowing up. Like, he's a big deal now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I like that. One last thing on the AI thing before we move on. I think as long as there's transparency in AI being used, I don't care. Like, I don't like when someone puts out like a rap song and claims it's to be them, and then you find out that like they use some kind of AI technology or use something else to write their shit for them. I'm like, that I don't like. As long as there's honesty behind it and be like, I made this song using AI, whatever.
Yeah. Has there been people trying to sneak around?
Oh,
really?
yeah, there's definitely.
I think
it's going to grow too as the technology gets better, because it is wild. Like, I haven't used I know you've been using ChatGPT for a while. I tried it out because I was like looking up how to make thumbnails, right, for the first videos. And ChatGPT was one of the first like things that Google suggested to me, and I was like, you know what? I've never even tried this. Let me just see what they're talking about. I didn't know that ChatGPT could make photos. And I literally I was working on like a Dwayne Allman Brothers thing, and like I was like, make me a photo that's like in the studio with music equipment and has this text in it, and then like in a second it had it. I was like, dude, that's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. If you notice though, if they ever put any text on
it does
an
mess
image,
the text up.
it'll spell it wrong.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know it's probably right around the corner to where they perfect that. But yeah, I usually use it for facts. Like if I ever need to look up facts or recipes, cook time, shit like that. It's just, for me, a lot easier to ask it a specific question rather than going to Google. You type in how long to cook a ribeye on the skillet. It'll be like, try this recipe at recipe.com and we'll flood you with ads.
Well, Google has it now. So if you Google, it's AI. It's like the first thing that you get. I think it basically just searches all the websites and gives you the bullet points.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, I'm not mad at it, honestly.
Right. Some aspects are great, and it's going to take over, and I'm going to become obsolete.
And the things I Google are so stupid anyways, too. It'll be like, how old is Joel McHale? That's what I Googled today. How old is Joel McHale?
Let me guess. 46.
53.
Interesting. Yeah, older than I thought. Met
well,
him.
like, I'm always Googling the most unimportant things, like, but like things that they'll definitely have the answer to.
Right.
Like.
Joel McHale, age. Speaking of Google, here's a pet peeve. Signing into Google has become a goddamn landmine infested trap. Like, they're like, simplify your sign in with a PIN number and a Face ID. And then you try to get in. We'll email you here. We'll email you there. And then you got to do the fucking little thing where you tell us how many stop signs are in a thing.
Oh, God, I hate those things.
And you're just like, what happened to username and password? Why are you making me work so hard?
And why do we have to do it so much?
I don't know.
I sign into like 2 devices. Why am I constantly having to re-sign into Google? I don't understand.
I know. You sign like work computer is just like, you'll get an email like, hey, someone's trying to sign your shit. Just like, stop snitching, Google. Like, relax. It's enough. Just username, password. Ask me if I want to stay signed in. good to go.
Have you seen? I know you watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right?
I haven't watched the past few seasons.
You
but
haven't?
I've seen plenty of it.
Dude,
Yeah.
there's an episode on the last season called Dennis Takes a Mental Health Day. And like, so he's like trying to bring peace into his life, but everywhere he goes is just pissing him off more on his day off from the group. And like there's a part where he's trying to get a coffee and the lady's trying to get him to download an app to get the coffee and he just like loses it. And I just thought that was such a funny little angle.
Yeah, it's so good. I actually have seen that scene, but she's like, you want the tapioca beads? He goes, oh, the little circles of sugar diabetes? No, thanks.
Yeah.
He's like, well, we can't just take cash. He's like, how about a card? You take that? He's like, yeah. And it's just like all the little nuances that they've added to make things simpler. It just becomes so much more complicated.
Yeah.
It's like,
all right, another app. I'll just download another app. Just add another app.
It's so good, man. Did you ever watch that AP Bio show?
I thought it was pretty funny.
Was it?
Yeah.
I was gonna
there's
check
a
that
lot
out.
of. I think there was. It maybe. I don't know if it. I don't know. Actually, I really don't know how well it performed, but I know like there was a lot of like school based shows coming out around the same time.
Yeah.
That they kind of like Abbott Elementary is pretty popping right now, which is hilarious. It's kind of like the same model as The Office. You know, like a documentary crew following around a group of teachers at a school in Philly, and they just did a crossover episode with Always Sunny, and it was pretty funny.
They're kind of like a PG type show, right? Like there's
they're
not
more like it's kind of. I mean, it's kind of like The Office. I think it's probably a little bit less offensive because it doesn't have like Michael level stupidity of it, but I think it's well done. There's some great cast of characters on that show, but the Always Sunny one was good, and apparently it's gonna be like a two thing because the first crossover was an Abbott Elementary episode, and so on the next season of Always Sunny, they're gonna do another one where they come to the bar, I think.
Interesting.
So that'll be funny. But the Abbott Elementary crossover, one of the main storylines is the teachers helping Charlie figure out how to read. And it's so funny, man. It's so funny.
That's so funny. I was thinking of when he wrote the script for Dennis, and then Dennis is like reading it back to him. He's like, "We'll do good. Job here."
And then Charlie would be like, "I didn't write that." And like, Charlie, we all know that you wrote this.
Yeah.
Nobody else is illiterate.
Yeah.
Besides you.
Danny DeVito actually used to come into that restaurant.
Did he?
He used to work out. Yeah, he was like the coolest fella. Because like you had said, like, was it a place that like celebrities were just expected, so no one fucks with them? Yes, but Danny DeVito was like the only person to like have to stop and talk to people going out, because if you're Danny DeVito, there's no slipping by.
Yeah.
Like you're 3'4", yeah. Well, not that short, but like
He's pretty small.
super short. And then, dude, there was a fucking night where he came in with Charlie, and it was Charlie's first time, and it was like right out of the episode where Danny DeVito wants to make everything like perfect for Charlie, and he's like having him try the different dishes, and Charlie's like, that's good. And he was like, you gotta try the octopus, Charlie.
That is hilarious too.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder what like their like personal life dynamic is, like how close those guys are with. I mean, it seems like they are somewhat, because I watched they started doing a podcast too.
Oh, did they?
I tuned in where they would just kind of review episodes or whatever and talk about like making them and stuff. And Charlie seems like the most common man of the show. Like he doesn't need the celebrity stuff like the rest of them do all that much. Like he doesn't even. He had a whole bit how he talked about how he was like really upset when 1080p like HD technology came in, because he thought that the cast of characters and the show was so grimy that he didn't want to bring that like clear cut like look to it. He wanted to look shittier.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's an interesting thing. I didn't really think about stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm sure obviously he lost the battle.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like everyone kind of moved that route.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's something to that. Like the graininess of it, the grittiness of it definitely works well without HD.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, the battle of 4K, man, with trying to upload these videos. Good Lord.
it's
So much room. It takes so much space.
I know. Some of these podcasts, by the time I'm done editing them, they're like closing at 100 gigabytes worth of space.
It's like crazy.
Upload them takes 2-3 hours, but whatever.
Yeah, that one was so heartbreaking. I was trying to do it on my computer, and like, I know it's an old computer, so I'm like, all right, it's just gonna take hours. I went to bed, it was uploading. I woke up, it was still uploading, and I'm like, and then it didn't even work. It was still shitty quality, and I had to redo it and to figure it out on my phone. It was such a nightmare.
I know. It's so stressful. Like I said, when we were doing the 6-win stuff, I kind of got a rhythm down with this stuff, camera placement, computer, all that stuff. But yeah, it was like every video we were doing there for a while, it was like something got fucked up. Like we'd just upload the footage and it would look terrible for whatever reason, couldn't figure that out, or the audio was jacked up. Something along the line was always fucked up. It's just such a pain in the ass.
So any kids that are watching out here and think that YouTube is an easy shortcut to making success and a lot of money in life, you're wrong. It's not.
You're dead wrong. Don't try, because it's infuriating.
I would actually love to get like a behind the scenes of like a really popular podcast, like a Joe Rogan or a Joe Budden, who like, you know, is getting a lot of money and a lot of views. I would like to see how big of a team they have, like behind the scenes, how many, if it's like just, like it can't be just Jamie anymore for Joe. You know, he's got to have like a crew.
I think it's Jamie and one editor.
Really?
I think Jamie is like a wizard back there. Like he's probably, my guess is, and I don't know for sure, but my guess is he's got a thing that allows him to switch cameras live, like whoever's talking, camera 3.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Rogan's camera 1. And then he's probably got a computer because he's looking the stuff up like, Jamie, what Soviet Union, when did they fall? Whatever. And that's my guess. And they probably like ship it off to an editor to just tighten it up a little bit. But
because, man, editing like long form podcasts like that, like he's 3-4 hours every episode. So it's like, dude, I mean, you would have to watch it the whole episode to make sure there's no mistakes and stuff like that. So you'd have to and they do like multiple episodes a week currently, I think. So
yeah, he's doing like 3 or 4 a week.
That's man,
insane.
So
much content.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would want to be on the mic that much.
I know he's just fucking, say what you will about the guy. I know he's a very polarizing figure, but he fucking grinds. Like that's doing the UFC commentary, which isn't a full-time gig by any means, but then like doing the nights at he's the club owner and doing sets, whatever, and then putting out mediocre comedy.
Yeah, he is mediocre. Like there's certain people that like, I used to like his podcast a lot. I don't like it as much anymore, but like even like Theo Vaughn, like I thought Theo Vaughn's podcast was really funny, and then I went to see his stand-up, or not, I didn't go to it, but I wanted to watch one on Netflix, and I thought it was horrible. I really didn't think it was good at all. Like the jokes weren't funny. His pacing was driving me crazy. Like he was back and forth, like to one side of the stage to the other, like the whole thing. And I was like, this is distracting. I can't even get into it. Or like Andrew Schultz, I felt the same way. Like during the beginning of the pandemic, he was doing these like videos that I thought were really funny. Like he would like be like, turn your camera, come with me. And he would like tear something of pop culture to shreds. And I thought they were funny. And then I realized quickly that he definitely wasn't the main writer of those. Because when I watched his stand-up and his own podcast, I was like, this guy is a fucking hack. He is not funny.
Yeah, I've never been a big Schultz fan. I do remember the stuff at the beginning of the pandemic, though. Like, they're very quick hits, like media bites, and I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, not a huge Schultz guy. I do like Theo. I listen to Theo on a regular basis. He gets some interesting
I think
guests.
He's great on his podcast.
Yeah.
I think his podcast is the bread and butter. I just don't think his stand-up is all that great.
Yeah.
Like, he still is very unpolished to me when I see him do stand-up. Like, he looks nervous. He presents nervous. Like, I mean, you really can't be that way, honestly, you know, to be in, you kind of have to have, like, a little bit of, like, belief in yourself in comedy. Yeah. Which would be hard. I don't know how they do it, honestly.
Yeah. There's a period of time where I was, like, really interested, and I would just, like, try to, like, write bits and then do them on my phone, like, a voice memo. And then I don't know what it was today. I went back through them and I was listening to some of them like, oh, these are garbage. I don't know if it's just like me like not liking my own shit, probably. But yeah, some of them, like I think I do a decent job of coming up with like a good premise for a joke, but then actually executing it and making it funny is fucking hard. Like regular conversation, pretty easy, but like stand up, man, those guys are fucking talented.
That's why I was so blown away when we saw Dave Attell, like just to see how on he was. Like There was not a second where you thought he was like nervous or unsure of himself at all. Like he knew exactly what he was doing on that show. Like that was impressive to me.
Right.
But yeah, it is a skill set that's difficult, man. Stand-up comedy's crazy.
Yeah.
And like I feel like for me, I'm so anal retentive about the stuff that I put out, like even these little segments that I don't want to repeat someone else's viewpoint, that I would be so scared I'd like unknowingly steal someone's joke. You know what I mean? Because like everyone has thought of every premise you can think of at this point. Yeah. And like, so I'm sure there's jokes about it. And like, so I'd be like nervous. I'd put something out and then like some dude with 10 followers would be like, I wrote that joke in 2015. And I'm like,
yeah, you got to just have a different angle on it. Like all the premises are taken, just have a different angle to look at it from. Ari did that. Ari did a good job on his Special America's Sweetheart. Again, not going to try to spoil the bit, but the whole controversy about the trans athlete in the Olympics, I feel like every angle was taken. Like, it's okay, one side would say, then, no, that's bullshit, another side would say, blah, blah, blah. But he just, like, pulled way back and just kind of dismantled everyone and just, like, that was clever. Like, that is the type of shit comedy is fucking golden for. Like, takes where you're not picking sides, you're not, you're just having your own thing.
I really don't understand. Like, I am a very liberal person. Like, socially speaking, I'm as liberal as they can come. But when it comes to comedy, I'm not offended by comedy. If it's dressed up in a joke, like if its intent is to make people laugh and not to make people miserable, then I don't understand why people get so upset about it. You don't have to watch it.
Right. You really don't. It's off. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
Trying to think. I guess I could quickly say the new Mac Miller album is incredible.
Oh, the
Lunarism.
Is it posthumous or posthumous?
Posthumous, I think, is how you say that.
Yeah.
But it's not really posthumous because he made it in 2014. It just got shelved. And I guess it was like something that was really important to his mom, and his family handles his estate now. And they've like always made a point since the time he died to say that they're going to handle all the music that he has left with care and respect. They're not going to put out demos and shit like that. And this is an album that he completed in 2014, but he had so many other projects going on at the time that it ended up getting like put to the side, and he passed away like 4 years later. So this was made in 2014. Thundercat is on the whole thing playing bass. His brother Ronald is playing drums on it. Like, it's awesome music. Like, from a production standpoint, I think it might be my favorite. And I've only heard it one time. So
okay.
It's a little hard to do like one listen, call it my favorite Mac Miller project. But dude, it's really, really strong. Yeah. It kind of like, I mean, it's hip hop for sure, but like there's like a lot of like jazzy instrumentation and stuff on it that's really cool. You're like, this is refreshing, actually.
Yeah, I've found there's quite a bit of jazz in Mac Miller music. I haven't dived into his whole catalog. Not the biggest fan, but as the years go by, I feel like I'm becoming more and more of a fan. That there'll probably come a time where I'm just like, let's dive into everything.
I was definitely a late bloomer. I didn't like him when he first came out. His first couple projects I thought were real corny, and then he kept putting stuff out, and then like around the Good AM, watching TV with the sound off, like 2013, 14. I'm like, all right, I'm starting to mess with this. And then he put out like this album called The Divine Feminine, where it was like almost like an R&B hip hop album. And I'm like, dude, this guy's talented, man. Like, because I found out he's producing a lot of this stuff and playing all these instruments. And I'm like, I'm starting to really become a fan of this guy. And then like, it was so sad to me when he died, because that's when like my fandom was in full gear. When Swimming came out in 2018, I'm like, this is an awesome, awesome project. Me and E-Man were like psyched because we were going to go see him on tour. He had announced the tour and everything, and then he passed away. And I'm like, man.
Dang.
So crazy.
Yeah. Dude, that's how I felt with Norm Macdonald. Like, I was always a fan. And then the past, I would say 3 or 4 years of his life, I was starting to come around to being like, this dude might be the GOAT. He's so funny. I just never fully got it. It never clicked. Yeah. I just always thought he was pretty funny. And then he passed away, and then now I'm just like, man, I wish I would have gotten it a decade ago, 2 decades ago, because for me, Norm is like my fucking idol. Like, I love Norm.
I watched some kind of special out of him. It must have been something after he passed away where they were just talking about how much he loved comedy, and like, it was so ingrained in him that like he would bomb on purpose because it was entertaining to himself. Like the whole roast of, was it Bob Saget or something, where it was just like the worst. And like he was bombing on purpose. Like he was doing that on purpose, like because it was entertaining to him. And like, and then you watch like after he died, so many clips of him on different talk shows started coming up. And I'm like, he was a brilliant guest on talk shows, like on Conan and like all these other like different shows. He would have such hilarious little anecdotes to offer. Yeah, he was the GOAT, man. He was really, really funny.
Yeah, he goes, Bob, you got the face of a flower. Yeah, a cauliflower. Just like terrible jokes throughout the whole thing. And then there was one time where the whole bit was that like he had heard that you're not allowed to say the R word anymore. So he thought it was better to say Down syndrome instead. Like, yeah, that guy's probably got Down syndrome. And then he found out that was problematic. So like he was under all this fire. He went on The View and they were like, don't you think you should apologize for this? And then he had mints and he was just like, yeah, I feel really bad about that. I made a big mistake. And every time he was like bullshitting, he popped a mint just because he thought he was funny to himself. Like, of course he's fucking with you people on The View, but that was just.
And I think that's like a lot of like the comics that are like really, really, really about it. Like that's like really how they operate their days, is like entertaining themselves and trying to make themselves laugh. Like I saw like bring back Bill Hader. He was talking about how he likes to like mess with like TSA agents and stuff like that, just because it just makes him chuckle and like he like goes onto the plane with something hilarious in his head or something.
Matt and Trey, they said they've never had a target demographic. The only thing they try to do is make each other laugh.
Yeah.
Boom. There you go. You got it. And that's their whole formula for going on 30 years now. Yeah.
I saw Bill Hader again. Sorry. I know he was writing for South Park for a little while. And there was like a video of him going around the internet where it was him and Trey in the studio, like recording into the mics and doing the voiceover. And they were trying to get the line out about like Stevie Nicks. He just goes on stage and shits his britches. And both of them couldn't handle it. They were just like dying of laughter every time Trey said that.
I see that. And then Bill Hader goes, what for?
What for?
What for? Oh man, if I think about it, I'll splice that in because it is so funny. I don't know. He just shit his britches. What for? Oh man,
I can't wait for what Kendrick and the South Park dudes are doing. Like it's gonna be like. Have you heard about what the premise is of the movie?
You told me something about. Well, explain it again.
He's just like he plays a employee of a museum that specializes in like African American history and like what happened in like slave times and stuff like that, and starts dating a girl that he finds out enslaved his family lineage like way back in the day or something like that. Or something like that. I think that's part of the premise or something like that. So I'm like, this is gonna be like Get Out on steroids, maybe. Like, if Trey Parker and Matt Stone are behind it with Kendrick, this might be crazy.
Yeah. Dude, those geniuses together, I can't wait to see what they come up with, man. It's like when they joined forces with the guy who's big on Broadway to help with Book of Mormon, and they created like their first crack at a Broadway musical, and they won more Tony Awards than anything in history. It's like,
has there been anything more successful? Well, maybe Hamilton. I guess,
think Hamilton maybe won some more. Hamilton, I never saw, but apparently it was just phenomenal. But
I've seen the I saw they put it on Hulu at one point where you could like watch it on there, and it is great. I mean, it's really awesome. But the Book of Mormon, I was like a little nervous at that time point because they were so successful from it. I'm like, is South Park gonna be dead now because these guys have got this going on? Like, but they're still making it somehow in some way. It's crazy
for sure. Well, my camera just died, so the rest of this is gonna be all Neil and then this wide camera up here.
We have been going for quite a while.
I know. Well, this one didn't die; it just ran out of storage.
Oh, that's the worst.
The woes of recording. I got one last recommendation, and then if you got anything else, we can touch on it. Dudes, just put your masculine feelings aside and go get a pedicure. Pedicures fucking rule. There was this little like Taiwan lady who like did my whole thing. It was like from the knee down with all sorts of scrubs and moistures, and it's like these calf massages, and it just gets all the stored up energy out of your legs. And then there was this one point where like my wife was sitting right next to me. She starts like jerking off my foot. Like there's nothing else that you can literally think of other than like getting a hand job. And she was like doing that with my foot. And then she like starts like rubbing my heel again. And then literally like think of Mike Tyson beating the bag. Like she started doing that like with my heel, just going do 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 do. And I'm like, this can't be like part of it. You totally are freestyling this right now, lady. Like I'm just like got my feet out. She's like going Tyson on my heel. And then like, yeah. So, and then like every time she would like move my foot, she would like graze her boob with it. And I'm just like, that can't be an accident.
Maybe this is getting a little.
I know. If I was by myself, you'd try to talk me into going to that back room, I'll bet. But I'm not falling for it, lady. But yeah, pedicures. And I got feet like, my feet aren't terrible, but I got like calluses on them. And they're just like, not great, you know? And then by the time I'm done, like all calluses gone, as smooth as a baby's butt. Go get a pedicure. Highly recommend.
For sure. Manicures too.
Yeah.
Same way. They feel great.
Yeah.
I've never had a pedicure, but my girlfriend tells me I should.
Yeah.
And manicures, amazing. They like, it's the same thing. It's just like they're massaging your hands and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
That was like even when I was like balding, like now, I mean, I've been shaving my own head for years, but like I was holding on to it for a while and still going to the salon for the sole reason that I loved when they washed my hair. Yeah. And like, you know, do the little head scalp massage and everything. Like, that's the best.
Yeah.
So yeah, do that.
For sure. You got anything else?
I don't think so. Recorded by Richter's the YouTube. Like he said, he's going to plug it and everything. And that's about all I got.
Yeah. Sweet, man. Well, I'll link your stuff in the bottom and then, good to see you. Glad you made it through glad you made it through the 40 days.
Yeah, dude. It was, I mean, I didn't do compared to what some other guys were doing on yours, like the first dude, it was like 100 push-ups. And then like your one boy that hiked when he gave up like 1,000 things. I can't wait to hear his follow-up.
Yeah, he's coming back soon.
That's going to be a crazy one.
Yeah, for sure.
I decided to be less ambitious, but anyways.
All right. Good stuff. Take care, everybody.
Peace.